So on this edition of Teams to Remember, today I'm going to be talking about the 2018 Oakland Athletics. And if you're wondering why I went from 2020 to 2018 and didn't include 2019, well, that's because I already made a video on all of my teams during the 2019 season. Go ahead and watch that if you want. But I think 2018 was a very, very memorable season for the A's. I mean, it was their first playoff berth in 4 years. Of course, this season they would make it to the wild card and unfortunately didn't make it past the wild card. They would play the New York Yankees in New York in a very rough game for them and their bullpen. But I think the 2018 Oakland Athletics was a pure embodiment of Moneyball and really how that works. I mean, you look at the A's best players, Matt Chapman, obviously he was on the rise and a guy that, they kind of grew themselves. We all know Matt Chapman. Blake Trinan, the closer. I mean, he was a very good player that sort of was given a chance in Oakland. You had Marcus Semien, Jed Lowry. Lowry was obviously, he'd been with the team for a while and sort of found new light with the A's. Matt Olson was on the rise. Manaea had a no-hitter in that season, and I think that was really good for the A's. Piscotty had signed with them, a guy that also kind of found new light in Oakland. Chris Davis had the most homers in Major League Baseball that season, and that's why I think this season was very memorable. You have big teams like the Yankees with big budgets and the Dodgers with big budgets, and a guy playing for the Oakland Athletics has the most home runs, Chris Davis, 48 homers. And it's a shame that, Chris Davis really never had a season like this again. 2018 was sort of his final really, really good season. He had a good 2019 campaign, but after that, it all went down. 2018 was also the A's 50th anniversary of them in Oakland, so that was a celebratory season. They had a free game for all fans to attend, and so that was a very fun season. And it was our first year in a while that we felt good about our roster. And our pitching staff was also sort of our claim to fame. We had guys on the rise like Liam Hendriks. We had older guys like Edwin Jackson. Yusmeiro Petit was doing good, and there was a lot of good moments. And so, the A's, had a pretty good pitching staff. Our ace was Sean Manaea, and, I really liked what he was doing for us. And we also had a lot of good role players, Chad Pinder, Jonathan Lucroy at the catching position. And unfortunately for the A's, after the season, a lot of these guys kind of would leave, but we did still have a solid lineup heading into 2019, as we'd all know. So, in that 2018 wild card game, the A's played in New York at Yankee Stadium. It was an absolutely crazy atmosphere. Of course, the Yankee fans are kind of brutal to begin with, and then we're a team from Oakland coming in. The A's, I don't think it was a good decision, had Liam Hendriks starting on the mound. He only pitched, I think the intention of Bob Melvin was to have him going for just an inning. We all know that Liam Hendriks kind of went from this mediocre, average starting pitcher to an elite closer, and that happened really next year after this one. But he allowed 2 runs early, courtesy of the Yankees getting good hits from Aaron Judge and whatnot, and then it kind of just went down from there. The Yankees had a 4-run 6th inning. The A's kind of choked. Lou Trevino actually did pretty good with 4 strikeouts, but Fernando Rodney and Blake Trinan combined, and those guys, for the record, did very good in the regular season, allowed 5 runs. And so, the A's finished 6 games behind the Houston Astros, who had won 103 games, but the 97-win Oakland Athletics sort of showed that even after this season, they were still going to be competitive, and they were. I mean, they were for sure. It's just unfortunate that the A's sort of always get stuck at either the wild card or ALDS and can't find themselves getting past that. And I think this season sort of was an embodiment of that. Very good season though. Stephen Piscotty, amazing hitter that season, 267 batting average. Another guy also at the same one was Jed Lowry, 2 guys that were veterans at the time and still kind of are, and sort of found new light with those, rosters and whatnot. Piscotty, of course, had been with St. Louis and came over to the A's to be closer to his family, and he, really found a way to be, an elite an elite hitter at certain times. And so I really like that. Pitching wise, Manaea, he didn't have the best record and best ERA, but he played a lot of games and pitched a lot of innings. He was 12-9 with a 3.59 ERA. That was pretty good. I mean, no guy on the A's had an amazing ERA except for Blake Trinan. Blake Trinan was an elite closer. He had .78 ERA. He was an all-star. He had a 9-2 record, and it's unfortunate that he kind of dipped a little bit towards the end, but he still was good. And so I give him that. The A's bullpen, like I said, sort of their claim to fame. You had Ryan Buchter, Emilio Pagan, Trevino, and Petit, and of course Blake Trinan. And that was before Liam Hendriks was a starter, really, was a closer, really. He was really more of a starter in certain moments, but he was also sort of worked into the reliever position, and so that was something that they worked with. But the A's, pitching wise, were pretty good. And, it's unfortunate that they lost, because I think that season I was hopeful, but I also did realize that, they're probably going to be better in the future years. And that was sort of how it was the next two seasons. But the A's had this really interesting dynamic of having good veterans, and more so on the pitching side, and then young guys. I mean, you got to remember Ramon Laureano was basically a rookie at the time, and he was impressing a lot of people. And so, yeah, I mean, the A's really had a lot of talent. They really did. And I really felt like this team was a team that would be good for years to come. And they had, this sort of glory in the next 2 years. But unfortunately, they didn't really ever make it to where they wanted. They had a 97-65 record, like I said, and it was our best season in a while. But when you have to play in a wild card game, especially on the road, and the A's sort of got deja vu to Kansas City Royals wild card in 2014. That's a video for another day. They sort of went back to their Oakland A's ways, which was losing in moments they needed to win. So yeah, guys, it's the 2018 Oakland Athletics, the 50th season in Oakland, and it was a very fun season. It was a year that the A's impressed a lot of people and sort of made a name for themselves in Major League Baseball. But yeah, anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys later, and yeah, go A's.